So let's take a look at our upcoming road trip. We are going to be playing 4 games in Arlington, Texas against the Texas Rangers. The pitching matchups are as follows. It will be Shohei Ohtani versus Dane Dunning on Thursday. The Rangers have yet to name a starter for Friday. I would have thought it would have been their new acquisition of John Gray, but he is now on the injured list.
Ouch!
On Saturday, it is going to be Noah Syndergaard taking on Taylor Hearn. And then on Sunday, it will be Jose Suarez taking on Martin Perez. Let's talk about each of the starting pitchers' stats for the year and what type of pitches they could throw. So here's some information on Shohei Ohtani here on Baseball Savant. This is the website that I've been telling you about, that I've been finding the information on the pitchers. So from 2020, this is from 2021, right there. Actually, let's try this one right here. It says he relies on 4 pitches, though I find that to be a little bit false. I think because he talked about a changeup as well. It looks like, it says here, he relies on his 4-seam fastball, throwing it 43.8% of the time, followed by the slider right here at 27.5%, the split-fingered pitch at 12% at the time. That's the splitter. That is the pitch I want to see him throw when he's up in the count 2 strikes. And the curveball here, which can go I've seen it go as slow as 69 miles per hour. From past seasons, here is his percentage of the pitches that he has used, meaning how often has he thrown these in in past years. So clearly looks like his split finger use has gone up the most. Everything else has dropped off a little bit. Of course, we have to remember Ohtani had some injury issues as well. Ouch! All right, so here's some other information right here. Pitch type to lefties and to righties batters, and the percentage he threw at, the speed, and all of the other wonderful analytical stats if you all want to gaze over those for just a second. One thing we know about Shohei Ohtani is that he can throw really hard. We've seen his fastball top out at 101 in the past.
Most impressive.
His opponent, though, who we see in Game 1, Dane Dunning, doesn't throw quite as hard. He's looking still to fulfill his potential in the Rangers organization. As I said last year, he was part of the Lance Lynn trade when they sent Lance Lynn to the White Sox. 1-for-1, Lynn for Dunning. Some other information here, if you're interested in that, about Mr. Dunning. Here are the pitches he relies on. This is from 2021. It's different here again, according to this pitch arsenal. Relies on 4 pitches. You see there, the sinker is his go-to pitch, followed by the slider, change, and the cutter.
Interesting.
So Dunning in the past against the Angels hasn't really done all that great. I remember in multiple starts, we actually kicked his butt in a few of them. I remember one start we had at the Big A last summer. I think we hit Dunning for 5 runs in the first 2 innings or something. Here's a little idea on the movement of his pitches that he has thrown, and how much more they have moved or less they have moved, according to that line. If you all want to learn a little bit more about this, you can look at this website for yourself, as I think is kind of interesting. Here's a little bit of information on our top pitching prospect, Reed Detmers. He is currently the number 2 thanks to that whole movement thing we had to do with Sandoval, dragging him down to the number 6 spot thanks to a mini injury he had.
Ouch!
Reed Detmers is still trying to work on a 4th pitch, and I believe it's a changeup because, of course, to be a starter, you really should have 4 go-to pitches that you use.
Yep.
His best pitch, I think, though, and it's his strikeout pitch, is that big curveball, which I almost like to think, it looks very Clayton Kershaw-esque, the way it rises up and then rises down. Let's go over some more information here. Of course, only 2 seasons. Obviously, for Detmers, he came up in the middle of last year. He didn't do all that great. He had 1 career win, and it was somehow against Houston. He got shelled in a lot of his starts. I especially remember that one he had against the Dodgers. Oof, that was bad. Here's the 4 pitches that he currently relies on. Of course, he's trying to develop these 2 pitches right here, the slider and the changeup. Again, curveball, best pitch. The fastball throws the most. Noah Syndergaard, I told you a little bit about his pitches in our last video, but a couple of days ago, I'll tell it to you again. Syndergaard relies on a few pitches. He has that power fastball, which he's still trying to up the velocity in a little bit. We're waiting to see some more breaking pitches from him. He has a solid slider. The sinker's good. Working on that changeup still as well. Of course, remember, he came off Tommy John surgery, so you have to bear with him on that one.
Correct!
He's been pretty solid. You had his start with the Angels, of course, with against Houston just last week was very solid, and I hope that he can do well here against the Texas Rangers. It says here, looking at Baseball Savant, that his most relied on pitch was the changeup, according to his pitch arsenal, followed by the sinker, slider, four seam, and the curve. And the curve only he threw 3 pitches on at 3.6%. So, as I said, Syndergaard's fastball's been topping out around about 96. Actually, no, it was 2019 when he was with the Mets before Tommy John. Let's tell you about that. He averaged 98 on his fastball, so that's really good. Not a lot of whiff, though. A little bit of hard hit and high exit velocity averages. Decent whiff and chase averages, though. So Syndergaard, of course, that's from 2019, so that could be a little bit inaccurate. I expect Syndergaard to do pretty well in his start. I don't think the Rangers have ever faced Syndergaard, so they don't really have a book on him.
Are you sure about that?
Taylor Hearn, though, for the Rangers, our opponent that game, we have faced before. The Rangers have stretched him out into be a starter, and he's been all right. He only has 3 pitches, though, and they are the fastball, the slider, and the changeup. The fastball he relies on a lot of the time, 2/3 of the time actually, followed by the slider. And the change, actually, and then he actually says here he actually has a cutter as well. So that's something to maybe be interested about. Hearn isn't elite by any means, and I think the Angels have a chance to do something against him, despite the fact that he's actually kind of kicked our butts in his past couple of starts. Perez, the 31-year-old, as you see there, is entering his second tour of duty with the Rangers. He, of course, pitched with them a couple of years back. He's got a couple pitches that he relies on: fastball, cutter, changing, curve. You can see the fastball is used there the most. He came off a free agency signing with the Rangers from the Boston Red Sox. Of course, pitch percentage by season looks like it's varied a lot in recent years, and it looks like he's gotten rid of pitches or added pitches. This pitch is his sinker, wow, over half the time. So he's cut down usage of his sinker. His cutter looks like a newer pitch, and it's a kind of even usage, things like that. He's very comparable to, if you remember Wade Miley from his time with the Astros guys in 2019, very solid. He had a really good cutter. And then, actually, let's look at his vertical movement. You can see the slider, it's not showing much coming into more recent years. The cutter has a lot more of vertical, or has increased in its vertical movement, and everything else is seen to be rather steady. Jose Suarez is his opponent. Suarez, we know, has that really good changeup, fastball, changeup, and the curveball. I think he also features I don't know. I thought he did feature a slider, fastball, curve, change, and a sinker. Yes, the change is the strikeout pitch. Fastball tops out about 95 miles an hour. Very comparable to his teammate, actually, that of Patrick Sandoval.
Interesting.
Which is kind of interesting. Pitch percentage by season, everything looks to be fair. Pitch usage seems to be fairly consistent amongst each type of pitch that he throws. In the players to watch segment for the Texas Rangers, I would say 2 guys, and these are 2 of the bigger free agents in the offseason in the market: Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Seager coming from the Dodgers. Of course, you may remember he won the Bubble World Series MVP from 2020 in the Bubble World Series that they played against the Rays at the Rangers Stadium. Seager was signed 10 years, $325 million, a lot of money. He was one of the biggest offensive catalysts for the Dodgers over the last few years, so expect him to be impactful. Marcus Semien was signed to 7 years, $256 million, had a career year with the Blue Jays, came second in MVP voting into Mike Trout in 2019. Other guys to watch, you may remember Brad Miller, was formerly of the Phillies, played with the Mariners many years back, solid hitter, probably will bat leadoff. Also expect Adolis Garcia to be impactful. You may remember him. He just burst onto the scene out of nowhere out of last year. And for the Angels to watch, let's watch for Brandon Marsh. I expect him to be very impactful out in center field. He had a great series against the Miami Marlins.
This is correct.
Let's watch for Tyler Wade. Let's watch him run and score a run. That is until he's in the dugout, if you're able to watch how quickly he runs. Let's also keep an eye on Matt Duffy. I expect him to play a little bit. Let's also keep an eye out for Anthony Rendon as well. He had a great defensive play against Miami, and he also proved to be pretty much a difference maker in that series as well. So for the Rangers, we have Seager, Semien, Miller, and Garcia, and for the Angels, it is Marsh, Duffy, Wade, and Rendon. And finally, predictions. From the Halos in the Infield show, they wanted to see 3 out of 4. However, given what we are seeing here, I am going to call this series a split.
Are you sure about that?
Thursday game, we have Ohtani going against Dunning, and I think Ohtani's going to pick up a win in this start because that was an unlucky loss, if you will, for Ohtani. He did everything right on the mound, except that one hit to Bregman. Angels win that game by a score of 8-4. Friday, the 15th, Detmers, I have him losing this game to whoever's going for the Rangers. I think somehow we're going to get outdone by that bullpen and their offense.
Are you sure about that?
That game by a score of 6-3. The Saturday night game with Thor versus Hearn. Angels are going to win this game, and the score is going to be 5-4. Rizal gets a save, and the fourth and final game, Suarez and Perez. Perez in his last few starts against us, even dating back to when he was with the Twins, Perez has kicked our butts, as I just said a little earlier. And I think Perez is going to beat us again, and it's going to be a final of 8-2. Okay, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Remember to click like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. Comments below, please. I'd love to hear from you. And have a good night. Stay safe. Go Angels. Let's get another win and get to 500 and above 500 on the road trip. Go Angels!